So I hope you can all hear me. I normally have a mic pack and a very good quality camera to record these. I like to do things on a professional basis, but we are in a difficult situation. I have got limited space, but I should imagine you guys have probably got the same. There's things I want to work on, and we're going to do it step by step. But this video is mainly about posture and making sure you've got more space in your lungs, making sure your hip health's good, and just rethinking about the way you do things and the way you move. So we're just going to start and have a look at your posture. Now I'm just going to turn sideways so you can see and I can demonstrate a bit more. You tend to get two types of people. You tend to get people that are either quite pigeon-chested and they walk unknowingly, it's not something that they're conscious of, and they tend to get a lot of back problems. So if you're one of those people that gets a lot of back problems, just think to yourself, do I walk with my ribcage a bit flared and my tailbone slightly out behind me? You also get those that are, sometimes when they're tall or they're a little bit timid, they tend to walk with hunched shoulders, rounded through and tilt the tailbone forward. Can you see the difference? Either extending or contracting. So what we need to do is try and find that middle point. So we've got to think about that tailbone going down. Now we naturally have a little bit of a curve in our spine anyway, so it's important that we don't completely flatten ourselves. But when we've got an overactive back, the muscles are quite lax. When we've got an overactive front, the back muscles aren't as strong as they can be. So the best thing we can do is just give yourself a little bit of a wobble through the knees, put your hands on your hips and just have a little rock through backwards and forwards. You can see your tailbone, really exaggerate that, your tailbone's coming forward, really exaggerate your tailbone going back. It's almost like you're drawing a line with that tailbone so you can understand where your positioning is. Now think about that tailbone being below you, pulling up and thinking about each vertebrae stacking one on top of the other. Lifting out your body as though there's a string on top of your head. It's pulling you up nice and tall, but it's not just pulling your head up, it's actually pulling your rib cage up, pulling your head up, and you feel as though the vertebrae are equally stacked. Now when that happens, just have a look at your rib cage and see if it started flaring. So ideally you want to feel the bottom of your rib cage, and you want to make sure that if you slide your hands down, it's in line with your hip bones. So if you're here and you take it down and the hip bones don't meet, you need to just tuck that under and bring it round. Okay. Also, when we stand up straight, I'm sorry, I have much hair. It's very hard to tame. With the shoulders, we tend to have either that hunched position up and down, or that overextension through the chest. So again, if you're overextending, the chest is going to be too stretched, and the back muscles are overactive, and the same vice versa. So we want to make sure there's a balance of muscles in the front and the back of the body all the way down the torso. So one of the things we can do to think about that is we have down the middle of our back, from the top of our neck to the middle of our back, a muscle, and we can pull it down. We can use the muscles. This is an over-exaggeration, because what I don't want you to do is pull the muscles too tight and put yourself in pain, put too much strain on your neck, because that can cause other problems. But what we do is we can lift them, we can draw them down, and then we can just loosen them off slightly. So now, so if I do that from the side, you can lift them, draw them down, make sure your rib cage back to normal, and drop them down. Now if you straighten your arms in this position, you should be able to see a little bit of your bum, a little bit of your chest, and your fingertips should be able to point all the way down to the ground. Now if you're overextending, so let's do that. So if we overextend and you point in a straight line, you see your hands go behind you, and if you're hunched and you point in a straight line, you can see the hands are in front of you. So if you know if you're in the right place, make sure you get some movement. You're going to stay nice, straight. Think about it. What might happen is, because you're maybe so used to being in this position or being in that position, you may feel like one of these points while you're holding the correct positioning is active. So you might feel your tummy muscles are suddenly engaged, which is really important, because it just goes to show that those muscles haven't been as active as they could be to keep your body stable. So keep in a nice position. Now think about that. Think about that rib cage opening up, and imagine someone's underneath your rib cage and they're lifting your body up nice and tall. Let those shoulders round down, drop them, then into a nice loose position with your head, chin's level from the ground, and someone's underneath your ears and they're just lifting you up. You might notice if you think about someone lifting you, your tummy will suck in automatically without you pulling it in. It just engages in that way. Try not to put strain in the knees when you do it. Also, I try and mention this as often as I can to students, that when you're standing, if you bring your feet together and take them out like ballerina or Charlie Chaplin, and then take your heels out, you're going to have a good hips distance apart. a lot of people think their hips are this far apart or this far apart. So to get that marker, whenever you're in a standing position, feet come together, you take them out, we drop them down. But as we age, people's knees tend to rock in. I know that's an over-exaggeration, but I do see students that are in this kind of position. The legs are straight, but their knees are inwards. So the way we counteract that is we always want an instep inside our foot. So we take the knees down, we take them out like we're going into a little plie, a little squat. You can see the weights move to the edges of my toes, and we're going to pull up nice and straight. So now we're really rounding through the little toe. We're opening up from the hip. We've got that sensation of opening, and we've got an instep on the inside of the foot. We want an arch in the foot. So let's put all that together. Just give the knees a bend, open and come up. We're going to take a minute to find that tailbone position. We're going to pull up from underneath, up and around the shoulders, drop them down, but make sure they're not too tight. Head, give it a wobble. Imagine someone's underneath your ears, lifting yourself up, and hold. And in this position, if it's correct, you might feel you get a little bit more space in your lungs. Also, you're giving your digestive system better space to move. It's under less strain. So, long-term benefits of this are, one, your hip health's better, your balance is better, your walking is better, your knees are going to be able to take your weight better, your digestive tract is better, and your lungs are better. And then you start getting neck ache. And also, a little bit of anti-aging, lifting up can't be a bad thing. But now, we're going to use that, and we're going to put that on the floor in a folded bend, because a lot of people do this wrong. So we're going to take ourselves down to the mat.
So here we are down on the mat. I'll try to bring the camera a bit closer, but I think when you're doing these on your phone it's always a little bit more difficult. So what I want you to try and do is try and sit up straight with the legs out in front of you. Now have an assessment of yourself while you're doing this. So we're sitting up straight. Are you leaning back? Are you sitting up straight but think my legs are hurting and you need to bend your knees? And this is quite important. So if you feel that you're leaning back or you're having to bend your knees, there's a few things you can do. First of all, you can do this with a book, you can do this with a box, anything that's going to take your weight and you feel comfortable. I have yoga blocks, but it's not essential to have the correct equipment. So, pop yourselves on that block now. What you'll find is if you now are sitting on a block and you feel you can sit up straight, you're near the edge of the block or the book or whatever you chose to sit on, you automatically feel as though you can, instead of slumping back, your weight can almost come forward, you can almost lean forward. So let's have a look at what our tailbones do. When you're leaning back, you feel like your tailbone is shifting forward. But when you're up nice and tall and you're sitting up nice and high with your spine, your tailbone is underneath you and almost popping up behind you. So you can almost wriggle that tailbone away from you behind your body. Your legs are nice and loose. What tends to happen, people might find a bit of a strain because they're up off the ground. They might find, even if they're sitting down, they might still have the same problem. They might feel a bit of a strain on the knees. So you can do it with a towel or a cushion. I've got a bolster, but it doesn't really matter. You just rest your knees on it. This way, your weight's sinking down and your knees are supported. So whatever you do, you're not having to tense yourself or be in pain at the back of your legs. So you're feeling quite comfortable while we move through. So you're sitting on top of your tailbone. Your knees are supported. Feet can easily move. I'm just going to crook them for a minute, and what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can think about how we move in this position. Now I'm going to show exactly how people tend to do in this position, and you'll notice that straight away what the mistake is. Reaching out, rounding through the back, head to knee, head to knee, head to knee. Oh, even I can't, well, I might be able to, but just using my upper back, can't reach my toes. A lot of people think, reach. But actually they're hinging from underneath their rib cage, they're rounding through their back, and they're actually, all they're doing is stretching the shoulders. There's a little bit of movement in the knees, but they're just stretching their shoulders. Now, sitting up nice and tall, if you think about, we are going to over-exaggerate the rib cage, so think about pigeon chesting like I've said before, actually allow that to happen. Now, take your hands, actually you can have them behind, you can have them on your hips, but so you can see my spine, and if you want to try and move the hands if you can, I want you to think about your shoulder blades drawing together. So you're opening up your chest by drawing your shoulder blades back. It's that kind of motion. Drawing back, hands are up nice and high. Now, your chest is protruding, you're going to lift your chin up towards the ceiling, and you're going to lean forward, but instead of leaning forward and arching through your back, you're going to keep your back as straight as possible, and you're going to hinge from your hips. So if you just watch my back, it's straight, my tailbone, that's where the action's happening in the base of my body. Tailbone sticking out behind, it's wiggling out a bit more, back still straight, Chest is pushing forward, slight curve in the back, coming forward, coming forward, coming forward, getting to the point I can feel it in my legs, I can feel it down my back, and I'm going to drop down and release. Can you see the difference? Top shoulders leaning, touching your toes, hinging from the hips, coming down further. Because you are down further, a couple of things will happen. First of all, you'll feel it straight away in the back of your legs. That's why if you need the bolster, it'll just catch the weight, so when you forward you can just relax those knees. And the second thing is you're actually starting now to open from the tailbone to here, so your lower back is having a stretch. And you may not feel like you're doing a lot in this pose, but actually when we're down, we're doing some breathing, and when you come back up, you're going to feel that in most, but like it's had a really, you might feel like a lot of space around that area. So let's do that again. We're going to take the hands up nice and high. We're sitting on the front of the block, and tailbone's almost, you see, so I've always got an angle coming out behind me. Body's nice and high, shoulders are back, chin's lifted. We're going to lead with the chest, so it's almost like this, chest is forward, chin slightly back behind the body. Big deep breath in. We're going to tuck the tummy muscles in. We're going to hinge from the hips. We're going to use, you should be able to, if you get to about this point, you should be able to squeeze your tummy muscles in to hold you. If you're here, you're not in the right place, you want to be up. Obviously I'm going to reach a lot further down than most people, but I've been doing it a long time, so I kind of expect to be able to do that. We're going to come down, so now you can see, give your bum a little wiggle, open up. Imagine someone's underneath your armpits again and they're pulling up and opening your back. Think about, not head to knee, but shoulders to toes. So you're opening up the back, you're like a concertina, like a fan, you're trying to get these vertebrae open like a fan. This is the middle bit that's holding the fan together, and this is the bit that splays out. So we're nice and open. We're going to have a little movement while we're down here. We're really going to push that tailbone out behind us. We're going to let the shoulders come forward. Now if you feel quite comfortable and you're on the mat or you're on the block and you want to come off or you want to take the block, that's okay. I'm going to leave it there for the moment. But we're nice and forward. Our weight is forward. We're not central weight, top heavy. We're hinging like a bookend forward. Now you're down. Now you can crook your feet or you can let them go floppy. It depends, because at this point your knees are going to feel engaged. And we are going to add some difficulties as time goes along. So while you're in this position, look at your tummy, and it will hang heavily open. There's nobody to impress, just a little bit nice, big and fat. So we're going to breathe in and really expand through that tummy as much as possible. Now I want you to imagine there's a string on the back of your spine that's pulling back. So if you can see, this contraction, stretch, backwards and forwards. So we're breathing in. Imagine there's a string, squeeze your muscles in, bring your muscles, wrap them all around your spine and let your body get a bit heavier. Shoulders to toes, walk the hands, let them go floppy. We're not trying to strain. Actually, all the work's happening in the spine. The arms are just there to support ourselves, so we're coming forward. When we're in a nice low position, just take your head so it's looking down. We're going to breathe and expand that tummy again, so watch the tummy. Draw the belly button back. Lift slightly, bring those shoulders towards those toes. And again. Draw the belly button back. And you're going to stay nice and low, and you're just going to keep with that breath. So just keep that breath going. Breathing nice and deeply, long, deep breaths. Tucking the belly button back. Opening up the shoulders, drawing them towards the toes. And the shoulders get heavy, head's going to get heavy. Now I'm not going to drop mine because I need to be able to speak to you, you won't be able to hear me, but you want to be able to just let everything go nice and drop. So you can see there's a curve all the way up the spine, no strain on the neck, no strain on the forehead and the neck trying to get to your knees. It's all going to open. You should be able to lift your head up and your body still stays still, so there's nothing's happening. You should be able to open up your arms and let the body stay still, so nothing is happening in your shoulders. So I'm going to stay down. Now if you want to try to exaggerate this, we're going to crook and get a nice stretch. You're going to feel it instantly with the legs. And another thing you can do is you can tighten the tops of the muscles, so pull them, tighten them up towards your body, so you can feel the backs of those knees pushing, grounding down into the bolster or into the ground. So you're nice and low. It's a very deep stretch. So take a breath in, draw back, let this body come forward and drop. Now let everything go floppy. Feet go floppy, knees go floppy. Let everything drop. Just a little wobble, have movement through your back. One breath like we did before. Exhale, drawing back, opening up, staying down. Now, crook the feet, pull the legs up. You're instantly going to feel a much, much deeper stretch. And in this position, we can take it that little bit further when we feel we're nice and comfortable. What you're going to find is, before we move, I want you to imagine
a pair of scissors in your hands and you're snipping the back of your muscles in your legs. So when you're down, just think and pop open, and you feel because you're telling your legs, telling those muscles to be that way, you're going to feel like you can almost let it go a little bit more. So it's a case of not trying to force it. I'm not overly exerting myself to get here. I'm just flopping into it. I'm letting my knees go. I'm feeling soft about things. Nice and relaxed, staying down. If you want to take it further, what we can do is we can actually walk the arms around from side to side, but I'm not going to lift. So if you feel like you have to lift to do it, don't do it. If you can stay this low and this level from the ground, walk your hands around and create a compression in one side and stretch in the other, and let those shoulders, not the head down, the shoulders, the chest towards the ground. Don't let your bum lift on the other side, push it away from you. And you can do that on the other side. So if you can see, I'm not letting my bum lift off the block. I'm just stretching and opening. And then we're going to come back in. One more time, little wiggle forward, little wiggle forward. Breathe in. Let it all go soft. You can stay down for as long as you want, but we are going to come back up. Now I want you to imagine if you sit up straight away now, you're going to engage your back very quickly. And look, we've actually relaxed those muscles enough to get them stretched, so we need to get them triggering and waking them up slowly. So I want you to imagine someone's underneath their armpits again, and you're going to lift up, and then you're lifting the weight up, away from your back, away from the body, and then we're going to let the vertebrae drop back down and release. Release your legs. And come off the block. Now you can do the stand up. I'm going to do it on my knees so you can see me on the camera. You're going to feel now that your backs of your legs are engaged. You're going to feel like your back's had a bit of a workout. So all we're going to do is like we did before, that pelvic tilt, backwards and forwards, just to wake those muscles up. So let it stretch, contract your muscles. Let it stretch, contract your muscles. One more time, contract your muscles. And then I want you to circle through. As you come forward, squeeze your bum. As you go back, let it release. Come forward, squeeze your bum. As you go back, let it release. Just take your hands up, have a movement all the way through your spine. And release. Give it a go at home. Even just practicing that one move in front of the telly. Even if you're at a desk and you put your feet on something and you're sitting doing work, something like that will just refresh your body so much. Anyway, keep following. I'll try and get some more helpful hints up throughout the different videos that I put up. Namaste. That means the light in me bows to the light in you. You say thank you to yourself, and I'm saying thank you for joining me.